Hey, it's time to get cooked. We talking about Southern Fried Sports. We might even talk about Southern Fried Chickens. Let's go. Hey, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is your man, JD Wyatt, J Dizzle, JD Wyatt06 on Twitter. Hey, we've gained some subscribers on YouTube thanks to my guest coming up here soon. He brought in some subscribers. I was able to get a few. And then, man, I've also got a great guest coming up, but we'll talk about that later because lo and behold, Southern Fried Sports is live right now. And guess what? Again, I've got a brand new segment / show to unveil. And guess what it is? We are Southern Fried Sports. So, of course, if we talk about our beloved Gamecocks, we're going to talk about my favorite food of all time, aside from steak, but Southern Fried Chicken. Southern Fried Chicken is going to be the new name of my Gamecock segment each and every week. Hopefully, we're talking about delicious and scrumptious fried chicken from, maybe KFC or Popeyes or from your grandma's kitchen. And hopefully, we're not talking about burned and scarred and bruised Southern Fried Chicken of maybe your crazy uncle's kitchen. I don't know who cooks fried chicken that way. It's the best example I could come up with off the top of my head. But listen, I've got my man Josh Eskew. He is going to join me to talk about Gamecock football tonight. I've got my man Jay Fruit in the house. I've got Brandon. I've got Mark, Rowdy Rooster. I've got Eskew most of all. And so without further ado, though, ladies and gentlemen, my man, my friend of almost 20 years. We're at like 19 years friendship. We were fraternity brothers. Most importantly, we're Gamecocks. We're Gamecock realists. He's over here cheesing. He's got a big smile on his face. Let me welcome in my man, Josh Eskew, also a father of two sons. I'm a father of two sons. One just went to 4K. Josh, however, he's got one playing some pretty good daggum baseball. Hey, Gamecocks, go ahead and let's contact Miles Eskew if we could. I'm all about shouting out young players. I talk about high school football here. But ladies and gentlemen, Josh Eskew.
Hey,
My
man.
man, how are you this evening?
Living the dream, dude. Trying to find some time. You know how it is with the kids and the sports and the jobs and everything else going on. So it's good to be able to just sit back and talk a little sports.
Hey, absolutely. You nailed it. That's literally just what I try to do each and every evening. Shout out to our beautiful wives for allowing us this time to do that. So, y'all, I said we were going to talk about Gamecock football. So let's not hesitate anymore. I've talked long enough. Let's talk about Lenore Sellers being named QB1 this week. Listen, I love the fact that he and Robbie Ashford had a tremendous competition together. I almost thought Sellers was named QB1 back in the spring. I mean, that must have been false reporting, but I could have swore I had seen that.
No, it was reported that he was QB1 exiting the spring, but that the competition was going to be ongoing through fall camp.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, you were cutting out just a little bit. That might be me or you. But yeah, I literally thought he had it locked up, which I mean, I do understand why keeping it open with Robbie Ashford makes sense. And here's my thing about quarterback 1 and quarterback 2. I like the fact that they're similar in their characteristics. I think that's huge. You think about all these teams that have different style quarterbacks. So if QB1 goes down, you kind of have to cater the offense to QB2. So do you think with us having Ashford and Sellers there, do you think that's beneficial for us going forward?
Absolutely. Dow Loggins had his press conference today, and he mentioned it. You get a chance to, hey, what's going on, little man? Nah. You get a chance to run a scheme and get everything that everyone's comfortable with. And in the case that Sellers goes down, or you get up big, or you get down big, or you get a chance to get your twos a chance to play,
Wow.
you don't have to completely change the. You continue to run a kind of a RPO type offense. You got a very new, untested wide receivers group and a completely turned over running back room. So having two quarterbacks that are similar in their style of play is going to be huge for Dow Loggins and how he calls the game. I think it's going to give a lot of continuity where there's a lot of unknowns in your other skill positions. You muted, buddy?
Here we go. Sorry. Yep. Here we go. Yeah, I'm muted. Thank you, Eskew, for pointing that out. Yeah, I've got the little ones in here with me real quick. Here, Trip, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right. But yeah, dude, I think that's huge for Dowell Loggins this year. I mean, I know he got a lot of criticism about being in the NFL and being a bad play caller and things like that. But to my point, I think Lenora Sellers, though, I just saw him today. He came out as 16th on a couple of people's SEC QB rankings. Do you really think that Lenora Sellers is going to be what he's hyped up to be? And do you think he'll continue moving forward in this same trajectory that we hope so throughout the season?
One thing that I keep hearing about Lenora Sellers is he's smart. No one can argue that he shouldn't be 14th, 15th, 16th in the SEC or whatever because he's never played. Well, I mean, he did get some time against Furman. He got into 2 games last year. So you got to see a flash against, let's just call it, not great football teams. But he hasn't proven himself yet. He's young and untested. Last year, the O-line was garbage. So I think he will progress because he's smart. He's a smart QB. He took a team in South Florence in high school that was nobody and took him to a state championship his senior year. He got to sit behind one of the best quarterbacks that's ever come through South Carolina and Spencer Rattler and see the passing side, and he brings the athleticism. So as long as he can handle the bright lights, which I think he's done so far in the brief time that we've got to see him under the lights, I think he's going to do great. I think he's probably going to fall somewhere in between all the hype that people wearing straight garnet goggles are hoping for and better than some of the skeptics. So I think he'll probably be, and this is not a knock, this is a compliment really, I think he'll probably be the top 6 or 7 in the SEC when it comes to quarterbacks. But when you look at the SEC, if you can be in the top 8, which is the top half now out of 16 teams, then you're doing pretty good work considering who you're in competition with. And I think he'll probably fall somewhere in there. And like I said, that's not bad. Mute. That thing's going to get you.
No, I usually don't have to do that. The kids snuck in on me. My bad, everybody. Here, JD's focused. My bad. Sorry. Was dealing with children. Mac. Focus. JD here, right here now. Sorry. Little distracted. That was all very good points, though. Dude, Sellers, yeah, he's going to be dynamic. I really like the fact that he might have the most true number 1 running back that we've ever had. Not ever. Let me back that up. He might be the most true number 1 running back that we've had in the last few years. Maybe like 4 to 5 years. I mean, when you think back, Marshawn Lloyd, I mean, some of those other guys, they weren't true number 1 backs. You can give it to them 20 to 25 times a game. I kind of hope that's the game plan.
Yeah.
Though, with Rocket.
Yeah, I agree. And Lenore Sellers, the one thing that you got to think with Lenore Sellers, I think he's hovering around 6'4", 240. That's an inch shy and 10 pounds lighter than Cam Newton when he was at Auburn. That's the size that we're talking about. That's edge size and quickness with brains and skill. I mean, that's a big dude. So he should be durable. I mean, that's what you always worry about with a running quarterback or a mobile quarterback is durability. Well, you don't have to worry about it because, one, you got Robbie Ashford right behind you, who's a dual threat quarterback, and he's got the size and the weight to be able to take some hits, and shrug it off.
Right.
It's going to be great. I think he's going to be good.
Speaking of that, too, how about that difference, though, between your starting SEC quarterback and your backup SEC quarterback? Your backup has SEC starting experience.
At Auburn. Not like coming from Charlotte or, Georgia Southern. This is Auburn experience.
Right. And we saw what Bo Nix did.
Yeah. And don't forget, Robbie Ashford's also, I think he measured in at 6'4" and 220. So these are two big dudes.
Speaking of that, yeah, I pulled up the roster earlier, as a matter of fact. Dude, all of the quarterbacks, even Bevels and Reno, every one of them are 6'2", 210 plus. All four.
Davis Bevel on his recruiting profile, which might even be a little bit older. He's out of Greenville. So people in the upstate are aware of this guy. 6'6", 210.
Yeah. And see, that's what I was trying to look up and see his high school earlier. Because, I cover some high school sports here and everything as well. And so, I was actually, when I saw he was from Greenville, I tried looking it up. Gosh, I think I even found it, but I don't even remember what it was now.
Greenville Red Raider.
Yeah. Yeah, he was right here. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. I knew I had seen it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all 6'4", 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
Man, I wish we could recruit every other position this way.
Joke.
Dude, if we had, this type of size and everything that fit defensive end and cornerback, which that leads me into my next question here. Rooms, defensive back, wide receiver. You tell me, Josh, what are you most concerned with as far as positional groups going into this year? And which one are you most content with?
The obvious concern for me is wide receiver. Wide receiver, you don't have, well, let's put it this way. Xavier Leggett accounted for 25% of our offensive production last year. The next two people, and Mario Anderson, and I'm trying to think, was it Trey Knox was the tight end? Another of that, they're gone. We don't return any production from the skill positions. Running back would be number 2, but you got, I think they did great in the portal with running back, and I really like Matt Fuller, the one sole recruit that we picked up on scholarship from the running back position, the 4-star. I think he's going to be a bruiser. But with Rocket Sanders, Oscar Adway, the 3rd, and then you got Juju back, DJ Braswell. We saw him a little bit last year. Running back doesn't concern me as bad. I think they did great there. Wide receiver is scary. I was looking, and let me say this. I'm excited for Nick Harbor and to see him. I also think that NCAA 2025 was the worst thing that could have happened for Nick Harbor because people are going to think he's a real-life cheat code and expect him to just run deep routes and catch everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not there. He's just, it's not going to happen. And now, I'm not saying he can't develop and be great and do things, but considering 3.5 weeks ago, he was on a track running the 100, keeping his weight down, and then you expect him to come in and just pick up with all these guys that have transferred in, and Dre Jacobs, Jared Brown, Mazio Bennett out of Greenville, true freshman. I think he's going to be special. And I think he's a freshman that walks onto the field for the first snap against Old Dominion. But wide receiver is my main concern. And I'm not saying it's not talented. Breaking news today, Amari Huggins-Bruce, a transfer from Louisville. He's no longer with the team. We haven't heard why. But Beamer said on Carolina Calls tonight that he is no longer with the team. So that was actually a D1 transfer that was supposed to come in and add speed and experience that didn't even make it to opening day. So wide receiver is my number one concern, and number two or 1B is offensive line. For the 5 years, you always hear the offensive line is going to be better. Offensive line is going to be better. Last year, it was bad, very, very, very bad. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but we gave up 100. We were number 105 out of 133 teams, and giving up sacks. We were absolutely horrible. I don't know we were hampered by injuries, but it's offensive line is. I don't believe it till I see it because I've heard it too many years in a row, and nobody can tell me we don't have talent because we've only finished outside of the top 25 in recruiting once in the past decade.
Right.
So,
until you see it, you don't believe, and I don't blame you. And yeah, I was sorry to interrupt you there, but I was gonna say the offensive line thing. It's like that battered, bruised friend in a relationship that just gets abused, and the person just keeps, verbally or physically or whatever, mentally abusing this person, and they just continue to be like, "Oh, well, they're gonna change.
Yeah.
They're gonna change. They're gonna get better. They're gonna do better." And with the offensive line, they just never seem to do. The one thing about Lenore Sellers, I think that escapability he brings, that size that you mentioned, he's 20 more pounds, I think, than almost all the quarterbacks in the SEC. And then wide receiver room. Mazio Bennett, I've heard really good things about him. But I just heard Shane Beamer last week talk about here in the upstate. Shane Beamer did an interview, and he literally was saying wide receiver just isn't there yet. Nick Harbor is, like you said, everybody's getting this false hope that he is a cheat code. And lo and behold, he might not even be on the field play one.
I don't think so. I don't think he's one of the starters.
He's not even, he's not projected right now as a starter. He is not. There's the dude. Golly, I forget him all now. I could bring it up. I won't. But yeah, Nick Harbor right now is not projected as a starter.
And I don't think he should. He needs more time to develop.
Right.
From everything I've heard coming out of fall camp.
Yeah. I do think tight end's going to be a little bit stronger room.
Yep.
But they're also unproven, really, if you think about it.
At tight end, you got Josh Simon, who was productive last year. And then you got to replace Knox. Knox was awesome. But Josh Simon's productive. You have Brady Hunt, who I believe was a transfer. I can't remember where Brady Hunt come from. But then you have the true freshman, Michael Smith. I believe I got those right. I think Michael Smith was a true freshman recruit, and Brady Hunt transferred in. And Michael Smith, again, like Mazio Bennett, he's one of the freshmen that they expect to come in and contribute immediately. He won't get a red shirt. He's going to play. But Brady Hunt, they're very excited about him. And then Josh Simon, we saw what they could do. So, like I was saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we come out in a 2 tight end set with Rocket and then, Mazio Bennett and Dre Jacobs as your wide receivers. Like a 2 tight end set for a little extra protection until we see what the O-line can do. And, start with some small balls, some short, quick passes, things of that nature, because you don't have wide receivers. You trust your tight ends, I think, more than you do your receivers at this point.
Right. Well, and see, to me, that would be more of the Beamer ball style. I know that we want to be creative on special teams. That's always been a Beamer thing. And so I just feel like Shane Beamer, though, he wastes a lot of time trying to be too creative on special teams versus I would rather see that creativity on offense with Steve Spurrier and his play action, the old, the crossing plays,
Yep.
the Spurrier. That's where I want to see creativity. And I want to see them gain other things from other offensive, gurus. Like, are they not watching any of these other teams play at all? But here, I do always get the comments. Let me get a few comments in here real quick, Eskew. I got my man, Jay Frew. Jay Dizzle, he chimed in. Jay Frew, thanks for being here. I don't know what this one means, Jay Frew. Bernie's or Zestos? Eskew, can you tell me what that means?
Fried chicken, and Zestos is the answer.
Okay. Hey, well, there we go. You asked the question. You get the answer here.
Hey, you said
Southern
chicken when you came on, so that is Southern Fried Chicken, and those are two of the best.
Hey, well, I'm not familiar with Columbia Fried Chicken, I guess, down there in South Carolina. Forgive me. I'm not too familiar. I mean, I know Rush's. I know some of the Columbia, hidden gems.
Just stop.
But Bernie's or Zestos, man,
they do it right.
Sounds good to me. Hey, I want some Zestos fried chicken then.
Yes, you do.
Josh, do you have a Twitter handle, sir?
I do. And honestly, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I wasn't really ever big into tweeting.
Right.
But I do follow. The main reason I got Twitter back 15 years ago was for to follow Gamecock recruiting, because it was when it wasn't as closely followed, but they would tweet. Gamecock football would tweet, we got a commitment, or something like that. And that was back when a commitment was worth a damn. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But I can't remember exactly what it is. I will. I'll find out, and I'll try to put it in the comments. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no. Hey, that's great. Though honestly, I didn't really get into tweeting again until I started calling into the radio station up here in the Upstate here recently, back in like 2020, and they were giving out, their X handles and their Twitter handles, and I was like, shoot, let me bring mine back up. So yeah, you can change it though if you don't like it anymore. But yeah, Twitter, man, it's a whole different audience. And yeah, I'm up to like 542 followers. Just on Twitter alone. I signed up in 2013. And when I got going again, I was at like 140. And so yeah, there's so many Gamecock people though. It's crazy.
Yeah, last time like 1,700 people follow you, and you follow 12. It's like,
right.
I don't even know these people.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of what some of my followers are, to be honest. Let's see here. The talk around town in New Orleans is Rattler is practice squad material this season. Give him 2 to 3 years, he will be NFL ready. Ooh. I don't know. Eskew, what do you think?
I've heard some conflicting things, and the little bit that I've seen him in preseason, which I know preseason doesn't mean anything. You got second string and scout playing against second string and scout, but I think Rattler would benefit with a year or two under his belt, but I also do not think that he is that far off. He's got an NFL arm, and I think he got the humbling experience that he needed at South Carolina. I think he got beat up. I think he got smarter. I think it put his ego on a shelf for a little bit. And I think that can do wonders for somebody and just kind of ground them and get them back to just slinging the football and playing football. And I think he's doing that. And I think he was doing it his best when he left South Carolina. I wish we got another year with him. But I think in the end, New Orleans is going to be happy with Spencer Rattler. And it might be 2-3 years down the road. I don't see that as a bad thing. Look at Love up in Green Bay, sat behind a Hall of Famer, and now he's coming out, and somehow Green Bay is looking at having their third quarterback over the past 45 years, which is ridiculous, and both of them were Hall of Famers. They just don't miss. So I think Rattler will be fine. I think he'll do really well. I think that's a good system for him as well.
Well, that was the whole thing I said about Spencer Rattler from the get-go. I thought he was going to be the steal of the draft. I thought that the Falcons messed up pick 8, honestly. They should have went wide receiver, defensive end, or something like that. And then, bam, you could have Spencer Rattler to sit behind Kirk Cousins in the 3rd or 4th round. To me, that's what I thought was going to happen. I do kind of think, though, that Spencer Rattler in New Orleans, from what I'm hearing, a lot of people are projecting New Orleans to be the worst team in the NFL this year. And with that said, Spencer Rattler in that case will probably be starting by week 8 or 9, I would have to guess. But I thought Spencer Rattler, without question, was a very good steal in the draft. Let's see here. Let me skip over a few comments. Thank you, though, for everybody chiming in. Huggins Bruce is going back to Louisville, Jay Frew said. I think that is correct. I think that's what I heard also. We got Brian Pettit. Good evening to you, sir. And then Jay Frew, he already given me heck. Did you say rushes? Eskew giving me heck. Did you say rushes? How about this? How about the defensive back room at South Carolina? Or, because I did want to mention the Kilgore brothers. I think that's interesting with DQ Smith and Eamon Worry. However, I think I'm going to go here, Eskew. I got a question. What do you think the final record is this year? And if it's below 6-6, do you think people are going to be calling for Shane Beamer to be fired?
I think we go 7-6 with a bowl win. If we go above that, I see that as exceeding. Anything below that and missing a bowl game is disappointing. And yes, Beamer's seat heats up. You're going to have the fans calling for it, but it's going to be warm. I don't see any way around it. He's got NIL support. He's, like I said, everybody talks about when the new coach comes in, the cupboard was bare and all this. It hasn't been. If it was, then that was just shitty coaching. Because, again, over the past 10 years, since 2009, when we started picking up the Gilmores and Alshon and Clowney and Lattimore and all those, since then, we haven't had bad recruiting classes. We finished in the 30s one time, and then the COVID year was like 70-something. Aside from those two outliers, we've been in the top 25, usually top 20 in recruiting. So I don't want to hear the crap that we didn't have our blue chip ratio or that the cupboards were bare. It's just been inconsistent coaching or whatever you want to call it. And Beamer's supposed to be building culture and this community and all the stuff. And you hear it again every year. And this year's supposed to be the best ever. And, you know, the culture in the room and the family and all that stuff is supposed to just be better than ever. But it doesn't matter if everybody's friends and family. If you don't put W's on the board, you're not doing your job as a college coach.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely agree. The one thing I think, and this is what I have said, though, I mean, on one hand, it's very feasible that we might end up 4-8.
Yeah.
I mean, and granted, I think everything hinges week 2 on Kentucky.
I agree. We could as easily be 8-4 as we could 4-8, and I think we end up right in the middle.
Right.
Huge for momentum.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, think about if you go on the road to Kentucky that week 2, a team that's been a bugaboo in the past. They weren't previously. Man, I remember there for a few years. Check.
Automatic dub.
Automatic win. And you just can't go down the Gamecock schedule that way anymore. And so I think Kentucky, man, if you beat them week 2, you have a much better chance to beat LSU the following week. I think if we lose week 2 to Kentucky, you might as well put the L in LSU in our lose column.
I agree.
Might as well.
LSU is one of those. So Kentucky, LSU, Oklahoma. Who's another one? Mizzou. I don't think Mizzou's going to be. Mizzou caught lightning in a bottle last year. I'm not saying they weren't great last year. They played phenomenal football.
Their schedule's so easy, though, bro.
Yeah, and they're ahead of the NIL game. They're getting damn good recruits. But Kentucky, Mizzou, Oklahoma, LSU, I think those are all toss-up games, really. LSU lost tons of players. OSU is coming in. They got burnt vegetables at the helm. He's familiar with the SEC, but, it's a new landscape. It's SEC football. So I think those are the 4 games that I think could go either way. We very easily could lose all 4, but I also think equally win those 4. And that's that 4-game swing of 4-8 or 8-4.
And here's the one I went really back and forth on is Texas A&M with Elko. I mean, dude, he was such a good coach at Duke, and I know the talent that he's inheriting at Texas A&M. And I know the bugaboo Texas A&M has been to us as well. Like that's one. Like I think we can beat them, but man, that's one that I'm just like, I go back and forth on it all the time.
Yep.
And then you got Oklahoma. There's a lot of those games that could become winnable games. That is for sure.
Go ahead. The defense is as good as what's coming out of fall camp, I think we'll be in a position to win a lot of these close games, and it's going to come down to a couple of plays.
Right.
Talking about go ahead. So expand, because I think you were about to tell me what your favorite position group was coming into this.
Well, no, I was actually going to tell you some of the stats that I think actually have to be improved on. So, I was going to follow up basically 3rd down conversions. We haven't mentioned those yet. We have got to get into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. And we've got to convert. And then the same thing on defense, though. I'm so sick of it being 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, and they convert every time. Every time it's just like, oh, here you go, pass across the middle. And so the defense did improve late on in the year there. But so the 3rd down percentage, though, from last year, 33.4 on offense. Rushing attempts per average, 2.8. You got to be in the 3.8 to 4.5.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many statistical improvements that we need to make.
For a team, get this, JD.
Right.
We ran for 1,020 yards last year. All season.
Embarrassing.
Yes.
No wonder Shane Beamer was kicking coolers. I would have been Steve Spurrier throwing my hat down on the sideline.
That's why I'm not as down on the running back room, because it couldn't have gotten worse, really. Our leading
the offensive line too. I mean, I just don't. Is there no better way to coach these guys? Like, what are we missing?
Got a new running back coach.
I don't think that was the problem.
Well,
I think it's players. I think players is the problem.
Well, you got to have Jimmys and Joes, right? Those are the ones on the field. They got to put their foot in the ground and get a yard.
And that's the one. That's what I was going to mention earlier too. About you mentioned Clowney, Ingram, Jeffrey, Sidney Rice. Those guys didn't need development.
No,
they just needed coaching and plays.
Yeah, those were men. When they stepped on the field, freshmen, they were already SEC ready.
This roster needs development. And yeah, a roster upgrade basically is what I'm trying to say. I mean, Gamecock fans, be hopeful, okay? Sellers is the roster upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
Sellers,
Well,
Rocket Sanders, they're the roster upgrade.
Well, and you got 5-star talent and Josiah Thompson coming in on the offensive line. We got all of our starters back that got hurt in the first and second game last season and were out for the year. Assuming they can stay healthy, offensive line has to be better. So that'll help the run game.
Yeah, I mean, if all these guys can stay healthy, I mean, we've got to be due.
Hey,
Perry.
You going night?
Hey,
night?
buddy.
Night. Love you.
Mm.
Good night.
Hey, that's right. Eskew, me, we're Gamecocks. We're realists. We're fathers. I did have to kick my kids out of the room. They were distracting me too much earlier. They wouldn't listen. But, man, we've all got great sons. We've all got great daughters. If you are a father, God bless you. Be a good one. Be kind. Be blessed. Let's see here. Let me get back. I did miss one comment from Jay Frew. He said our tight ends are going to be mean and nasty. With
Preach.
Sean Elliott there.
Preach.
Yeah.
Coming back is I'm more excited about Sean Elliott coming back than any of the recruits we picked up. That man is full of hype. I mean, him being a run game coordinator and coaching tight ends, that just your offensive line got better there because a 2 tight end set with Sean Elliott's blocking tight ends and Rocket and a running quarterback. And then the minute that you think these 2 tight ends are going to block, they're going to chip and they're going to split out, and you're not going to have enough linebackers to cover them. And that should be easy, quick, easy passes for Sellers and essentially 8, 10, 12 yards, first downs. That's a great point. Tight ends are going to be crucial to the success, especially early in the season, I think.
Right. Well, hey, and we mentioned the NCAA football game earlier. I mean, it should be easy money at this point. Like you just said, we can all sit here and tell them exactly what they need to be doing. Like this, here is your winning strategy. The question is, do they ever do it? Can they execute it? I mean, there's no reason we should not have won more games with Spencer Rattler as our quarterback. I mean, to me, think about Jake Bentley, too, under Muschamp.
Oh,
he was phenomenal his freshman year.
We had a string of 4-star quarterbacks that we did absolutely nothing with.
Holinsky.
Ryan Holinsky, Jake Bentley. Who was the other one? It'll come to me.
I know we had Zebulon Nolan there for a while. The other freshmen, though, that you think, oh, gosh, I don't know.
I have to go back and look. Anyway, it's not important. But, we've left with more than anybody except Florida.
Yeah, and then, I mean, the sacks per game, ridiculous. We average, by the way, this is one stat I looked up. We averaged a sack per 10 pass attempts.
So yours was third down. My number one stat that we have to improve on is getting to the quarterback and keeping people from ours. We were number 105 in sacks. We had 21 sacks in 12 games last year. 21 sacks in 12 games. There's that 1 point number that you had.
Yeah.
It's worse on the other side of the ball because we allowed 41 sacks in only 12 games, which puts us at number 118 in the nation out of 133 teams. We were 105 in our defensive sacks and 118 in sacks allowed. That is pitiful. This is Weller that you're hearing otherwise.
Oh yeah. No, I got a husky back here. You can hear her barking in my show sometimes too. Ain't no problem. Hey, we're just having a real conversation. It's being recorded live. Hello, pup. Yeah, Willow. She barks at me all the time.
But yeah, sacks is the number one thing I think we have to improve. Third down efficiency is huge, but sacks, we got to get to the quarterback, and we got to keep our quarterback upright.
Right. Well, and then to your sack point, I mean, that was the big thing when we had Eric Norwood, Melvin Ingram, Jadeveon Clowney. They're hitting the quarterback. They're forcing fumbles. The ball is coming out.
Oh, those were good times.
I mean, they were. I don't know if we'll ever get back there though. And then Brian Pettit, he jumps in. He does a Saturday football show as well.
My man, that's good twice what we had last year.
Got to average 60%.
Yeah, you got to think more times than not, I'm going to convert on third down. And you should, if you put yourself manageable.
Yeah. Oh, right. Absolutely. I mean, you would think that's absolutely the way to go. But I mean, more likely you're going to be about the 45, 50. Like if you're efficient though on third down, you're like 45, 50, maybe 50 to 55.
Yeah.
Oh, but here, a Clemson fan. He's only worried about the Gamecocks wide receiver group. He's pretty strong on the rest of the roster. Interesting.
I don't know. I think our defense, I think we're going to have to lean on our defense. I think last year we averaged something like 25, 26 points, which doesn't sound too bad, but we were giving up way too many points.
Right.
The secondary is strong. When you got like no doubt, like when your only conversation is who are my backups? Who are we going to rotate in? You're in good shape. And that's essentially our case because you got O'Donnell Fortune, you got DQ Smith, you got Nick Emenwari, and you got Jelon Kilgore. You know those four are starting. And then I think you have maybe one question, who's the opposite cornerback from O'Donnell, OD Fortune, which it seems to be Judge Collier. But then you got Jelon Kilgore's brother sitting behind Nick Emenwari and Gerald Kilgore. Bakari Swain, people are raving about that dude. He's the one that had a hell of a spring game in Columbia. He looks the part. You got Jalua Solomon, the 4-star that he was committed to us, and then he flipped to Auburn maybe, and then he flipped back to us on signing day. He is a specimen, a really high 4-star. So I think our secondary is great. I think the strength of our defense is actually going to be the linebackers. The linebackers are nasty, and they're huge, and they're fast. I mean, you got, and they're, the two deep is also what's in discussion because you got Debo Williams and Bam Martin Scott. They are entrenched, experienced, and just nasty. I think Debo he led the team in tackles last year with like 120 or something ridiculous. And then we brought in Demetrius Knight, a transfer, and he is, I've seen, if you ask people that came out of practice and you look at the reports and stuff like that, Knight is the one that they mentioned. So you got a strong secondary. And again, all this is pending. We don't have just a rash of injuries. But you got a strong secondary with a good 2 deep. You got extremely good linebackers that's also 2 deep. And then you got a defensive line that's actually covered with 4 and 5 stars. The defensive line is actually our deepest blue chip group of the team. You got Kyle Kennard that transferred in. Tonka Hemingway, he's been there forever. He was a high 4-star. Boogie Huntley, I believe, was a 5-star out of the Midlands when he came in. He's starting there on the defensive line. And then you got Gilbert Edmond, who was a 2020 recruit, transferred to Florida State, did great there, played in every game, had a bunch of tackles and tackles for loss and a handful of sacks. He came back to finish something that he started and is hungrier than ever. And then sitting behind them, you got a 5-star in Dylan Stewart, who I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him post-camp,
Rip.
Lord, that
Jack.
is. So I think TJ Sanders played a lot last year. He was one of our best. He's a backup this year, expected to be a backup. So I think our defense is what we're going to lean on. I don't know if we put up 26 points a year like we did last year, maybe a little less than that, but I don't think we'll give up 30 points and lose as many games as we did last year either.
Right. No, I mean, at the end of the day, I was going to say that actually. I would rather see us at about 30 to 32 points per game scored and right in that 24 to 27 range allowed. I mean, I know it'll balance out over the year, but here, guys, I've told you I was going to tease my next guest. So here, let me do it right now while I got Eskew still. So as of Monday at 8 p.m., JD Wyatt, Southern Fried Sports, is going to have Kelly Ford of kfordratings.com on. And if you have not seen this guy's numbers, sorry, I got people commenting on Facebook here. If you have not seen Kelly Ford's numbers, you are in for a treat. And he will be on with me Monday. And so he says, though, the Gamecocks have to pull 5 upsets to be in the college football playoff. And he says that the Gamecocks are going to be in 5 one-score games. So there is a scenario where the Gamecocks, oh my word. There is a scenario, though, where the Gamecocks, sorry, I got stuff popping up in my ear here, could potentially be vying for the playoffs. I don't necessarily believe that, but Kelly Ford of Kelly Ford Ratings show that there is a chance. Just like there is a chance that Josh Eskew will join me again here on this show.
Crazier things have happened.
They have indeed, man. Hey, it's been great. You've had some great content, great thoughts. Let's get your Twitter worked out, man. You got some people. You did find it? Here, let's get it out. J. Frew. Here is Josh Eskew's Twitter handle.
It's my last name, Eskew, but it's got an R in it, so it's Eskew.
Yeah.
E-R or E-S-K-R-E-W at Eskew.
I did. Good gracious. Somebody is blowing me up. Somebody likes the episode, or they're just calling me stupid.
Either way, no pub is bad pub.
No. Good. What is it? No publicity is bad publicity. But yeah, funny enough, so people call me Jay Dizzle. So I do have one handle that is Jay Drizzle. So I also added an R. We're alike in so many ways, but we're Gamecocks and we're realists, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, catch me on X at Eskew. It's a picture of me and my son holding up some championship rings on the baseball diamond. So,
absolutely, that sounds beautiful. We will definitely get this up on X or Twitter. No, Amy Lawrence, it's not Twix. Stop calling it that. Y'all know I got my expert segment, as Eskew just did. I got my expert segment. We're gonna get Eskew involved in that. Eskew, man, hey, tell Gamecock fans what they need to know going into this year. Give us one last summary.
Man, I don't know. I'm a cautious optimist. I always go into the season hoping for the best. They plan for the worst, hope for the best, right? I think we start strong. I think we pick up Old Dominion and we find our wheels. I think we catch up.
Night. Nanny, Daddy.
Oh, yeah, you good. Sorry, you were good. My bad. Sorry. Yep, I just unplugged. The kids came in here. We're going to tell everybody night-night.
Night.
Here, let me exit him solo layout here. My bad. Here we go. Night-night, everybody.
Night.
Got mommy in the background.
Night.
But no, hey, dude, you've nailed it. You've had great takes. I just like talking Gamecock football. I like talking sports.
Hey,
You're
we're
definitely.
nine
Hey,
days.
go ahead.
We're 9 days away. Spot the ball. It's the best time of the year. Everybody's undefeated. Everybody's full of hope. All we can do is talk and hope. And then as I get older, I don't let the losses affect me as bad as they used to. I'm kind of getting back to where I can enjoy the game. But, this is the best time of the year. Right before college football starts is the best. It's nothing but hope and excitement.
Right. Exactly. Well, I've teased a few people this before too. Hey, the Panthers and the Saints and the Falcons and the Buccaneers, we're all tied for the NFC South. As of now, we're all tied for the SEC championship.
That's right.
We got Jay Free though. He said he found you.
All right.
And then there was something else. I thought I had a few more comments come in. Let me get that one out. But hey, no, it's been a fun episode. The most people, of course, as we're about to sign off, jump in here. But it's all good. Eskew, thank you for your time. We're going to do this again soon. Maybe in 10 days. Y'all make sure, though, I got Kelly Ford coming up Monday. I might even let Eskew come ask him a few questions if he wants.
Hey,
it'll be a fun conversation. One way or the other. Y'all be blessed, not stressed. And I will see y'all soon. And be kind. Dang it.